Typings is this module, this feature that my friend Blake made that pretty much just, so in TypeScript, how does the tooling know about all this code? How does the tooling support you, or give you support for like, you know, for the types? It gives you support for like what this thing is expecting, the interfaces. How is it aware of your code? We have these type files, these type definition files. And typings is a module that will fetch those community-built type definition files for you so you don't have to create them yourself. So because TypeScript is so new, unfortunately, there are a lot of great open source projects that don't have type definition files. But on the flip side, developers are making them, or you can make them yourself, and then this typings module will fetch them for you and bring them into your project. Yes, we had a question back there?
Yeah, they're back on that clock example.
Yes.
They're asking if when you instantiate a new clock, do they need to pass in the 2 parameters?
Yes, they have to pass in the 2 parameters, the hour and the minute, and they both have to be numbers. But it will build. It will just throw an error at build time, like, hey, by the way, you forgot to do this, but it'll still work. But then you're just defeating the purpose of TypeScript if you ignore it. What's the point? You might as well just get rid of it. Yeah, so typings is a module that will get those type definition files for you to make your tooling aware of the types in the code that you didn't create. So all this code that we npm install, we want our tooling to be aware of that. So that's what this thing does. And there's like tons of places where typings look like there's actually like a repository. I forgot the name of it. It's blanking me right now. But there's a repository where some of them are kept. Some people put them on their own repositories, whatever. But this module will find the right one and put it in there for you and set it all up so everything's working. It's pretty awesome.
Definitely typed.
Definitely typed. There it is. I don't know why I couldn't.
T-shirt.
There you go.
We're throwing
Is that
out
a
fake
white
t-shirts.
t-shirt?
Yeah, that's.
Cool. So Angular 2 with ES6, like I said, it's almost the same as TypeScript without the types interfaces. We have to, because we do have decorators, but we don't have annotations. And they almost look exactly the same. But ES6 and especially Babel, they don't really support the annotations that Angular 2 needs. So we have to override the parameters explicitly for the dependency injection to work properly. And there's examples of that in the repo that Lucas put up earlier on how that looks. So this is what you would have to do if you're using ES6 with Angular. And that's really the only difference. Everything else is exactly the same. It's just because the metadata and annotations don't work properly, you might have to be explicit about how you reflect the metadata, either by using the reflect metadata plugin, or what I said here is defining dependency parameters explicitly using a getter on the parameters property inside of a class. So those are 2 ways to do it. But other than that, it's the same thing. You could even still use the TypeScript compiler or transpiler, the hipster term for compiler, and it will still work depending on what features you wanted. So I recommend using Babel if you're just going to go straight ES6. But if you're just lazy and you're like, I already got TypeScript here, you can use the TypeScript compiler and you'll still be fine. And yeah, but Babel has experimental features that TypeScript does not. So that's my thing. Like Babel keeps up with like the different stages that the proposals are in. So everything in like stage 4 is what's going to be released next. And then you go all the way up to like Strawman, stage 0, something that somebody just made last night. And you can use that today in Babel, which is awesome. So I recommend using Babel if you're just going to go pure ES6. Any questions on that? Nope. Cool. With ES5, ooh, different story. First of all, don't do it. Just don't. Just don't do it. You know, like when React first came out and people were like, JSX, oh, I'm not using this. This is stupid. But then they couldn't find any documentation on Stack Overflow or the docs, and they were just like, all right, I guess I got to use JSX. That's what's going to happen here. There's already lacking documentation on the Angular IO website. Like if you go through there's a 5-minute tutorial. There's some stuff on there, but then you go into like the long tutorial that they have on there. There's no docs. There's no docs on this. Good luck. So highly recommend not doing it. But if you were going to do it, this is how you would have to do it. It's supported natively, obviously, because it's just ES5, so you don't have to build or compile anything. Just run it in the browser. But because of that, now we have globals, right? So there's no module system like Angular 1x. Angular 1x had a, Angular.module. We can encapsulate everything like that. They don't have that this time. Sorry. So what do you have to do? Well, now you got to go back and you either have to do an IFI like you did in Backbone, right? Everybody did that. Or you have to use require.js or whatever you want to use for your module system. Or maybe you just don't care and you just put everything on a window. I don't know. Maybe
But don't do that either.
Yeah, just put all the stuff, the passwords and all that stuff right there on the window. It's all cool. They're never gonna find it. Just put like a couple underscores in front of it, and then they'll figure it out. That's all you gotta do. But it exposes a global ng namespace, so that's the global object that you'll get when you load up Angular. Whereas the Angular 1x, the global object you got was Angular, and Angular 2, the global object you get is ng. And it exposes the same stuff that it does in Angular. It exposes the same stuff if you're using ES6 or ES2000 or TypeScript. It's just on one object. So no need for a build system or transpiler. No type files or configs. That's legit. You don't have to worry about none of that stuff. That's cool, I think. Documentation is lacking, and OT recommended. I meant not, but I forgot the end.
Are you saying that it's hot recommended?
I think that's what I meant to say. Hot recommended. So yeah, just don't do it. I mean, I can't really think of a good reason why you would. Especially with ES 2015 as a standard, you should at least minimally be doing that. That's the thing.